everyone. Welcome to episode 10 of Scribbles with Jonathan. I'm your host, Jonathan Rector, and today we're going to be tackling some basic lighting. It was a question a friend of mine asked, and I thought I would tackle it in this video. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just drawing a ball, and I'm showing that arrow representing where the light's coming from, okay? And this video, especially since it's only so short and it's just an introduction, I'm not going into the basics of lighting. I'm just trying to show a very loose and primitive idea of like shading a ball and how we're going to end up drawing an arm. But I just wanted to show you guys how easy you can achieve shading and tackling a little bit. And right here, this would be like an arm. So I'm just trying to show the actual ball, like I already did in the previous step, and the cylinder underneath it would be your bicep and tricep. But I'm just going to show you, I'm just going to shade it the exact same way. There's the ball again, just shading it like I did in the first one. And then the cast shadow, and that's going to wrap around the actual cylinder. And then I'm just going to shade the cylinder according to the basic light that I have going there. And depending on how far away this goes away from the light, you might have a little bit of shading at the bottom. And I would like to say right away, the shading and tutorial that I'm showing you right here, it's meant mostly for comic and black and white illustration. If you're doing full pencil work, you can get away with doing shading and stuff, but since people ink this, you can't really go in and do shading. You have to do, everything's got to be solid or line work. And here I'm just going to quickly draw an arm. It's got the shoulder there, where the bicep would be. And I'll put the lighting after that. I apologize if I'm sounding a little weird at all. I do have a little bit of a cold, so I'm trying to hammer through this for you guys. This is too fun not to do anyway. Okay, so we have the basic arm in there. And what I'm doing here is I'm just showing you the shoulder, how I like to do it anyway. Just 3 shapes. Drawing the little arrow there again for where the light would hit it. So the same circular ball still applies to this because it's still a ball shape. And I'm doing the exact same thing that I did in the ball. The only difference is like the bottom and the 2 little sides here. But they all get affected by the light the same way. And the whole idea is to think of it in those solid, simple shapes so that you don't have to overly complicate anything. You know, if you can break everything down to its simplest form, even as detailed as you want to go, it will still come across if your basics are pretty covered. So here I'm just going to actually do the entire arm here for you. Just this one's a really quick one for you. Just to show you how I suppose you could think about how the light would actually hit the forms. There's a little cast shadow there from the shoulder onto the bicep because the shoulder does go over the bicep, and there's the bottom of the bicep. It's more of a little round at the bottom. It's more of like a rectangular square there. Just showing you there. So I'm just going to shade the exact same way I shaded the cylinder. And so there's going to be a cast shadow again from the ball, and it's going to end up going onto the tricep. But the tricep does have a ball of its own on there. They're kind of diamond shape. I'm just trying to show the basics here. So there's the cast shadow there. It's still going to cast around a ball there, like I tried to show. Yep, and there again, just showing you that it is a ball that the tricep is. And the shading that I'm doing here, I'm just trying to show you the actual shapes. This isn't 100% how I would shade something on a page or an illustration. I'll do that in the next step here. But I just wanted to, again, show you what I'm talking about. And there's another ball kind of on the forearm, and it's not as drastic as that as I've shown it. And here I'm just shading the forearm from where the light would hit anyway. Things can tend to look a little bit more robotic when you start going down there, but doing shading with the muscles and stuff, you can get some pretty good fun going on. So here I'll draw the arm again, more of how I would normally do it, and show how I'd regularly shade it, kind of. And again, I apologize if I'm sounding really boring. Just this cold. Oh god. I will try to. I will do some future videos of other parts of the body. I will do a quick headshot after this arm, just to give that across to you guys. But in 10 minutes, I can only cover so much. So basics, I would suggest going to actual art books to get the basics. This is just trying to show my approach, how I usually go about doing things. And hopefully you guys get something out of it. I mean, what the heck. Okay, so this was similar to how I did the other one. Uh, just showing where the light's not hitting it, and getting like things aren't perfectly round in things on a muscular form anyway. You could get away with doing this on a non-muscular body, I suppose you could say, of doing just cylinders and ball shapes, and you'll get the point across no problem. But if you're doing something a little bit more muscular, you can have a little bit more fun with the shading. Gives a little more three-dimensional pop. I will say I used to be really afraid of adding shading to my work. I thought like if I screwed it up, then it wouldn't come across, and it would always, muddy it up and look gross. But as you start getting a little bit more brave and you start throwing lines in, adding like right here what I'm doing, this is what you call rendering. This would be what if I did a normal illustration with different pencils, I could blur to make it a smooth transition. But in comic work, you have to do feathering or rendering, whatever most people call it. It's just to help round out the form a little bit, break it out from the shadows. And this stuff is totally optional. If you guys read like Hellboy, or have you ever seen Hellboy, the artist there, he does just solid blacks, and it gets the point across. And you might get into like the Marvel DC type stuff where people start getting into the rendering. It just gives it a little bit extra pop and detail, but it's totally not necessary. I do recommend adding shading and line work or line weights to your work, though. It does give it a little bit of a pop, breaks it out from the page. That way, you're not relying too much on color all the time, which is fine. But it also gives the page in the paper a little bit more, like I said, a little pop, but it gives it a little more impact, like realistic, I suppose. But again, if you look at like Hellboy, the way he does things, it's night and day as opposed to doing like an animation type style. Both are very valid and appreciated, but just something you might want to tinker around with in your spare time, and it might be something you might want to incorporate into your work. So here I'm just doing a very quick head. I'm not going to go into the details or the anatomy or anything like that. I could probably cover this in another video just for lulz. But okay, what I'm trying to show you is to think of the head as an actual cube, and this I learned from George Bridgman, an excellent book I'd recommend picking up. So again, the same light source as the arm. The furthest away from light source is going to be blacked out, and as it starts to get to the black, it'll start rendering or fading to white. So just think of the exact box shape as the head, and there you go. I'm just going to quickly put in a very light line just to show the box that I'm trying to get across here. So I'm just going to shade it in exactly as the box would be shaded. Everything away from it would be shading. And again, you don't have to go as drastic as this, but as long as you can keep this kind of thing in your mind, I think it'll help you big time. Just if you're having trouble shading, going very simple, you'll still get the point across, and it'll do the job. And I highly recommend doing stuff like this just for practice. And you might not ever do something like this in your work, but if you color your own work, this helps big time as well, because it helps establish the colors that you're going to put on and how colors fall on the head and all that stuff. So there you go, it's done. It's not overly complicated or anything. I was going to do another one, but I looked at the clock and I was running out of time. So the video is pretty much done, and I want to say thanks so much for watching. You can get a hold of me on Twitter. The username I go on there is artbyjar. You can also check out my website, jonathanrector.com. And don't forget to subscribe to the video. Keep yourself up to date. And have an awesome week, my friends. Keep the lead and styluses burning, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day.